In this video, we're going to talk through PATH-funded projects, all of the data entry procedures and data elements for projects that are funded through PATH funding. So some PATH data elements and terms that we're going to talk about. The first one is a contact. So a contact for PATH projects is an interaction between the PATH-funded worker or workers and an individual who is potentially a PATH eligible or PATH enrolled client. You must always include the presence of the client in order to track it as a contact. So they have to be present in some way, either in person or via the phone. There's also a term called engagement through PATH data elements, and that is a point at which an interactive client relationship results in a deliberate client assessment or the beginning of a case plan. So when you first meet a client, you may or may not have an engagement. So it could just be a simple meeting, explaining the program, seeing if the client is interested. There's no assessment that has been started, and there's no case plan that has begun. An engagement is a one-time event, and the date of engagement must be on or after the start date of the client's entry into your PATH project, but it also must be prior to the exit date of your project. So it has to be between those two dates, not outside of it. Clients cannot be enrolled in PATH without having a date of engagement. Some other PATH data elements and terms: enrollment. So when a client is enrolled in a PATH project, it's the point in the engagement at which the PATH-funded worker has determined that a client is eligible to receive services through the PATH program. PATH-eligible individuals and a PATH provider have mutually and formally agreed to engage in services, and the provider has initiated an individual file or record for that individual. So that will be the date that the client has enrolled in the PATH project. A referral is active and direct, and it's when the PATH staff supports the client with a PATH enrolled individual and creates a referral on behalf of that PATH enrolled individual. So referrals for PATH clients could be for educational purposes, housing, etc. And we'll go through referrals in a little bit. Services is another PATH data element and term, and a service is a specific PATH-funded assessment about a benefit or form of assistance that was provided to a PATH-enrolled individual during their time in your project. There's another data element that asks about a client's connection to SOAR. SOAR is a referral process, an application process for SSI for individuals who are qualified and who have been enrolled in PATH. So it's for individuals who have severe mental health or disability who are actively in a homeless or at-risk situation. It's intended to determine if a client has been connected to a SOAR program, regardless of whether that connection was established by the PATH provider or not. So the connection to SOAR might have been done through another provider, through Department of Social Services, but the assessment and the data set is really asking about if there was a connection to SOAR. It can change during the client's involvement with the PATH project, and it should be updating accordingly. These updates happen in an interim review assessment, either as an update or an annual assessment. PATH status is a data set that is used to determine whether a client is eligible for the PATH program. If they became enrolled in PATH, they were found ineligible for PATH, a client was not enrolled for another reason, or you were unable to locate a client. So if a client becomes enrolled and has an enrollment date, that you collect to identify the data with the path eligible individual and the path provider have mutually and formally agreed to engage in services, and you've initiated a file or record for that individual. So if a client was found ineligible for PATH, you would need to make sure you exit them from your PATH project immediately. PATH enrollment date may be on or after the project start date or on or after the engagement date, but it must be entered prior to the project exit. The HMIS data assessment that you're going to be seeing in the system looks a little bit like this. So there's a current living situation sub-assessment, which we will review in a second, the date of engagement, the date of PATH status determination, if the client became enrolled in PATH, yes or no, and if no, what was the reason they were not enrolled, and was there a connection with SOAR? For PATH clients, you must provide a current living situation sub-assessment for each contact you have with a client. The current living situation is more of a robust way of detailing the data collection of your contacts. Every time the PATH program contacts a client, they will now answer certain components of the current living situation data element, such as the information date, so the date you collected the information, the current living situation of where the client is living. So if it's in a place not meant for human habitation, a shelter, or a hotel motel paid for with emergency shelter funds or RHY funded host home, a safe haven, other, or worker unable to determine. There is a sub-assessment. This is what the sub-assessment looks like in HMIS. So you'll have to answer the data elements that we just went over. If a client is going to be leaving their current living situation within 14 days, so maybe they are housed, maybe they're in a temporary or permanent housing situation, but they're being evicted, you must answer the last set of 4 questions around their homelessness or their impending homelessness and what services and resources they have available. So services provided by PATH funding. So services are tracked through HMIS, and this is used to determine the PATH funded services that are provided to each client that's enrolled in PATH. So PATH services must be entered only for clients who have a project enrollment, but also prior to the project exit. PATH providers are not required, but encouraged to record each instance of PATH-funded services that are provided to your PATH-enrolled clients. This is allowable as long as it does not create duplicative service data in the PATH annual report. So here's a list of services that are PATH funded and PATH eligible to track within HMIS. So the first column, you'll have the PATH funded service, and then there's a definition of what that service is. The PATH funded services will be located within a drop-down box in the service transaction portion of an HMIS record. So to create a service and add a service to a PATH client, you're going to click on the service transaction dashboard and click add a service. Then select your service type from the drop-down box only. Do not use the lookup function. All PATH projects have service types identified within the drop-down box, which are PATH approved. Once you have a start date, you've checked the household members in, you're going to go ahead and click save and continue. Once you save and continue, you'll have a variety of new data sets that populate underneath, which also includes the type of PATH-funded service that you are providing. For PATH projects, this must be answered when creating a service transaction HMIS. This is the PATH-funded service that's tracked through your annual PATH report and submitted to your funder. Service notes are optional, and any notes associated with this should already be added to the case notes section for your project. You must follow up with open services. Anytime you have a service that you're providing and it's left open, you can add a follow-up date, so a date that you need to make sure you follow up with this service and track its status. Follow-up dates will be located and shown on your homepage dashboard to remind you as the case manager to follow up with that particular client about that service transaction. Follow-up dates are important for any service that's still left open. Services on the report will be reported when they are only completed. So when you have a completion date, when the need status has been closed, and the outcome of the need has been tracked. Referrals are also tracked for PATH-funded projects in HMIS. A PATH referral can be recorded each time a referral is made, but it is only reported on the PATH annual report once. A referral has been attained. Once a referral has been attained, once the PATH enrolled client begins receiving services as the result of PATH assistance, you either have to mark it as attained, not attained, unknown, or unknown. PATH providers are not required, but encouraged to record each instance of PATH-funded referrals provided to the PATH-enrolled clients. Examples and the list of referrals that you can make that are PATH eligible that will also show up in the PATH drop-down box include the following. The first column is the referral type, and then there is a definition listed here that includes all aspects of that referral type. Referrals in HMIS, you would click Add Referrals, which is also located in the Service Transaction module of a client record. You're going to choose your need that's identified within the drop-down box and click Add Terms. You should have a referral provider associated with your PATH project that's located within the drop-down box. Once you have selected your PATH referral provider, just click Add Provider. You must also answer these highlighted questions of the type of PATH referral, and if any type of PATH referral made, you must choose the outcome. If you don't know the outcome when initially tracking your PATH referral, you can save all and then go back into the PATH referral later and end and close out and mark the outcome of this referral. In order to complete a referral, you must make sure the referral type for this example, case care management, has been checked, that you locate the need status and change that to whatever the need status may be. And then the outcome, if it's fully met, and if it's not met, you must put the reason, and then you will save all. If by chance you have to go back and close out a PATH referral that still is open, so the outcome has not been logged in HMIS, you will simply go to the referral section of service transactions, click on the pencil next to the referral you would like to close. Again, using the follow-up information, if that's located when the follow-up was completed, and then the need status as being closed and the outcome of the need either attained, not attained, or unknown. And if it's not attained, the reason. And lastly, this is just a really great flow of how a person's time in a project, a PATH-funded project, will look, and all of the data sets. This is just a really great table that you can have access to help explain how the data entry happens and how your client's going to interact with different points through the PATH project experience. So this is just a helpful tool to reference back and for case managers to reference back.